Today is Saturday, May 24th, 2014, Memorial Day weekend, and we decided to make a short film because we are irrigating today and we've never filmed the water coming in and how beautiful it is. Dan was just redirecting the water more to the front because when we started around, it was around a little before 6 o'clock this morning, the water head was very high, and we were just taking the overflow from Enrique and Carlota La Madrid. So right now the water is coming over here in the front yard, but I thought it'd be fun to go take a look at the garden at this point in the early spring. We have different plants that we've never tried coming up, so we'll get on back. And over here, another new development is our rain barrels. We bought them over a month ago, but just recently we had some drain spout specialists readapt our drain spout. We still need to paint it to finish it off, but the actual rain barrel can hold 100 gallons. And we have another one on the side of the guest house. The water is starting to come in here in the backyard, so I did put on my irrigation boots. You can still hear Dad redirecting the water there in front. Over here we have our crop of potatoes. The Peruvian blue potatoes are these ones right here. We were just adding more soil to the top of the container because we have read that every 6 inches you should cover up that growth, and now they're obviously more than 6 inches. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do. In the terracotta pot we have some red potatoes growing, and these are the other 3 pots have golden Yukon, and so those are our potatoes. We did put some soil in, but we need to find a sieve for our compost because we have so many black walnuts in our compost that they will sprout if we were to put them into something like the potato pots, and we don't want that. But it's really wonderful to see the irrigation water. Over here on the table, let me see if I can slip through the potatoes here. We've got some golden amaranth sprouting, and this has been over 2 weeks. I'm not sure when exactly we'll be planting it in the garden. We're thinking of putting it over here in the old garden, what we call the old garden, not our absolute first garden, but the oldest of the 3 gardens we have going now. And then I didn't show over here by the small patio, our rhubarb is somewhat depleted at this point, but we have here at the arch where we have our golden finch feeder and water dispenser, we have some raspberries growing, and it looks like they're starting to flower, so hopefully we'll have some. The jasmine did not survive the winter, that's why we've planted raspberry there. We're really excited about the goldfinches. The secret seems to have been having water readily available in this dispenser, and So that's made a real difference, but they're a lot of fun to watch. And then, of course, the hummingbirds are always, you know, fascinating because they just come so often. So here's the raspberries. Here are the elderberries that we planted last year, and you can see how they're flowering. And this year we would like to do something with the elderberries. We didn't have that many berries last year, but all three of the elderberries are doing well. The canes have really spread out in different directions, so they're very healthy. So we can see that. And then you can see how the patio is starting, well, no, it is covered with water. Dan's redirecting the water because otherwise it starts getting too close to the guest house. And then over here, I think we had mentioned that we had taken redwood timbers and built some small planter areas. We planted a variety of asparagus that does well in clay soil, and I'm not quite sure how they're doing. We haven't really seen anything. Here in the garden, we do have some zucchini squash that Dad planted, and it has been coming up little by little. But you can take a look at the 3 planters. They each have asparagus. They also have poppies that Florence so kindly gave to me, which was really thoughtful. And so we've got poppies in each of the planters along with asparagus. We've lined the perimeter of the garden with 2 different varieties of onions. And we've planted garlic in the past, but we've never planted onions. So it has been so hot and dry. I've been watering them just so they'll get a start. And it looks like they're doing well. They're about 5 inches, 6 inches high. But this is the old garden, and needless to say, you can see our chickens. They're trying to stay above the water flow. They're on their perch. Some of them don't seem to mind getting wet. The white rocks are down below, Buff Orpingtons, and the black rocks are up above. And but we think they like the worms and insects that come in with the irrigation. Our cherry tree, let's go see it. It is just prolific, and the cherries are scrumptiously rich and juicy. So we were picking a large container this morning before the water came in, and Dan made a smoothie out of the fresh cherries and just soy milk, and it was very tasty. We're gonna start calling and giving away cherries, calling, Lauren and Brian for sure, and Matthew. Sorry about that, there was a little break. That we're gonna call everyone to come pick cherries. Let's see if I can focus on them. They're just everywhere. Let's go see Dad. You can kind of see the water is about a foot deep in this area. And I'm going to get in the middle of the ditch. Whoa. Okay, it's for sure a foot deep because I just sank. And so there's Dad. I was trying to focus. And so that's better. There's Dad. He's causing the water to go through the gate there to the front yard by using the shovel, pushing the flow. It is a foot deep. Let me get out of this. Whoa. And and then our golden delicious apple tree. Last year we did not have much of a crop, but you can see there are all kinds of apples. They're very juicy. And the Jonathan also, even though the tree is not in the best of shape, there's a lot of apples over on the tree. And then let's go take a look at our newest garden. And I think we've told you about the asparagus. No, we haven't told you about the asparagus that we planted in the center of this channel. So along with Jerusalem artichokes, our girasoles, you can see one popping up right there. We have Jerusalem artichokes. And Dan has built up this dam, and it looks kind of troche moche because he's redirecting the water into the cornfield. And truly it is a cornfield. Dad has a new electric rototiller that facilitates going in between the crops to keep the weeds down. Right now we do have some rogue red giant amaranth that's come up between the corn. I kind of want it to grow. Dad says that just corn is going to be growing here, which is fine also because the corn needs to have its own area. Oh, let me see, I'm going to dip down into this channel. Ooh, this is also a foot deep. Whoa, this is really deep. This is the Kefir pear tree that we bought in April. We planted it on April 13th, and it's a Kefir pear, and we dedicated the tree to Stephen. Stephen was a big brother for Kefir Fisk, and I was visiting with Elena last Sunday, and she mentioned that she had just taken Stephen's fishing poles and bow and arrow and some other of his equipment to Kefir, who is now 18. Elena explained that Kefir was Stephen's little brother for 11 years. So this is the Kefir pear, and it does have a few pears. And this is the century pear that we also planted on the same day. Both pears are self-pollinating is what they told us, but we do have them somewhat in proximity. And then we have two more raspberry plants over here. We do have a blackberry plant that we'll be planting in that hole right there, but we haven't done it yet. And then over here at this end of the cornfield, we have about 4 different varieties of tomato plants, 6 of each. And I am not sure which variety is which, but they are very healthy. We've been watering them and weeding just to ensure that they do well. Oh, and there's our compost. That's why I mentioned earlier we want to get a sieve, because needless to say there's twigs and pecan and black walnut shells in there. So let's see, I'm going to cross one of our granite bridges so I don't dip down like I did before. So here is the garden, and you can see how the water is just flowing very nicely. Dad really took his time to excavate with the heavy-duty rototiller, and then he's maintained it with that small, lightweight electric one to keep the weeds down. The weeds are always a problem for us because we do everything by hand, and so you just have to be relentless. There's no easy way of taking care of weeds. The grapes have not done very well so far. We're hoping they'll return. Last year they did, but we haven't seen much just yet. And then let's look at our second garden. We do have a bumper crop of amaranth, volunteer amaranth that is coming up. But we have also, and volunteer Jerusalem artichoke there against the fence. But we have also planted eggplant, okra, and let's see, squash. But you can see that amaranth really starts taking over. And then even here in front, there's little sprouts. There's some volunteer squash that came up from last year, and a volunteer potato. So right now, everything is kind of inundated by the ditch water. But I think it's so beautiful to see the water. That's what inspired me to say, better take out the camera and do some filming. So let's take a long shot view there of the corn tomato field. And there you can see our chickens in their portable coop. They have slightly earned their keep. Someone who advertises on our chicken YouTube has paid us for the sale of a portable chicken coop design that he developed. So that's kind of nice, because chicken feed is not the cheapest. So that every little bit helps. Here in the flues you can see there's Jerusalem artichokes again coming up. They're about 2 feet high. And then Dad, I think, is ready to go back inside. We haven't had breakfast. I think it's probably around 10 o'clock or so. I'm not really sure, because we've been working outside. And so you can kind of see how things look when the irrigation water is flowing. When we go inside, I'm sure the finches will return. Too bad they can't be here when we're out filming. There are the potatoes from this angle, so you can kind of see what they look like. And the mulberries, we call it the scourge of the mulberries, have started to fall. We'd like to play ping pong, but we're going to have a balance between sweeping mulberries off, because the mulberry tree, well, there it is quite bountiful, and so needless to say, it produces a crop. Do we think we're ready for breakfast, sweetheart? Or do you need to? Are you still redirecting?
Yeah, it's all going to the front, and the front's getting pretty close.
Okay.
Hi,
There's Dad. He's got his boots on. I have the same boots on. It's the his and her
camera person.
irrigation.
And narrator.
Yes.
I'm the irrigator.
Dad has to keep a close eye, because we don't want it to overflow. It's over here in this corner by the guest house that it starts going over the sidewalk and against the guest house. And so that's what we don't want to happen. So you can see the plants there. And then there's our little feeder. Well, that's it for now. The spring flow from the Rio Grande. And we're only able to water every other week, so obviously twice a month. And so we have to really maximize when we do water, that it's a deep watering, so we don't have to use city water on the grass. It survives no matter what. It's very drought tolerant. But for now, take the very best care. We think of all of you. Bye-bye.